much of this, can you tell us today, goes to the special interest group from that particular lounge share, both for Wiper Party and your party? Are you privy to it?
Well, I am not privy to what goes to the youth. But what I'm sure is that what comes to the party is for party affairs, management of the party affairs. It's not money that comes, then it's distributed to categories of people.
But we hear about trainings. I wonder what share of trainings really goes. That is from that particular share that will be allocated. That's what we're saying. Because there's been reports. We've had, I think, the Center for Multi-Party Democracy coming up with reports. We've had Professor, he eludes my mind right now, but he came up with actually a very good analysis on how also the share of this money is distributed. And it seems there is nothing that trickled down to the Amukoa, Professor Amukoa, Anangwe, right? Came up with a very good, robust report on that as well. And it was very, very, very disheartening to see no amount is going to the special interest groups. It seems that there is no affairs for the youthful people that is being considered or given much premium of attention within your party, especially for this money. Then how do we spend this money? What do we spend this money for?
My analysis will remain.
Because these are taxpayers' monies. I mean, they need to know at the end of the day.
As long as the parties are not run by the youth, as long as the country is not run by the youth, you do not expect the youth to be given anything. I'll tell you, and I'll say again, the youth can never, from the provision of the articles in the Constitution and from the management of affairs in this country, the youth do not have anything but themselves to blame. If the youth today decides...
It would be unfair for you, Titus.
Because
it is. Have the structures of a party.
It's not unfair. Let me say it.
It's well crafted that the youthful faces will never come to know about the intrigues of his finances at the end of the day.
No, let me say, actually it is important to say the truth because it hurts, but it's important. If the youth today decides to register as voters and vote for their own, I'm telling you, there is nobody that is going to stop them. But the youth have actually given the power to the non-youth to be able to manage their affairs. So what you are asking me is, how much of the goodwill of the non-youth is there to give to the youth? So within the party, every party, not UDA, not ODM, not Wiper, not anything, every party in this country, tell me any of the party that is controlled by the youth. Tell me. It is not there. And so it is the youth to break the ceiling and have their own seat. When they have their own seat is when the youth can be able to say they can benefit.
Let's look at the impediment that is there. Because according to the Political Parties Act, you cannot register a party as a youthful party.
You can't.
You can't, isn't it? So that's what locks you out completely.
It cannot be mainstreamed.
Yeah, it has to be mainstreamed. You have the women, you have, every face of Kenya has to be included there. So from a legislative perspective, when we say, now, why can the youth also gun up themselves and register a party? Of course, they can't do that as it is. They have to come through the established parties or even forming up their parties. All these hierarchies has to be there. And this is where their voices will be snuffed out at the end of the day. So you see, from a legislative framework, it cannot work out totally.
But does it bar them from registering a party that has majority of the youth? The hierarchy can be there, but the majority can be the youth. They have not been barred from doing that. And if they do that, then they can be able to ascend into power.
But I think about the question you're asking is quite important. The question of how much of the resources the parties get from the government are directed to the youth programs. And I think the Center for Multi-Party Democracy have actually programs which are organized for specific groups. And they train them. In my party...
But you do not sponsor this.
The
sponsors of these parties are actually, some institutions
that's where I'm coming. Yes. What I'm saying is, the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, they have very well-structured programs for the youth, for the women, and even for the disabled. What happens is the political parties have left the sponsorship to donors. But that does not mean that the political parties can set aside resources to say, now we want the youth who believe in the Wiper Party to be taken to a place and be trained on youth programs. It doesn't stop it from there. So what the center says is, we have the programs, the training programs, but we are the only people who are sponsoring them. How they wish that the parties could now directly, part of their resources, say, in this budget this year, we are going to spend 10 million on youth programs, so that they can call now the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, who have tailored programs for the youth to come and train. That will actually change the scenario. Otherwise, what is happening, the money we get as political parties, you know, most political parties are also financially are also struggling. So you find most of the money goes to paying salaries, another amount goes to paying for offices, and then the general operational issues. And not much goes to capacity building. I think what you are telling us is maybe it's time we started discussing with our political parties how much we could actually specifically set aside budgets for the youth, for the women, and for the disabled.
So how are they struggling? Maybe looking at the tier, you want to tell me UDA is struggling?
No, UDA.
Coming second is ODM.
ODM, and then that is us.
You're actually taking the majority share of the exchequer money.
Actually, out of that money,
these are running into billions.
I'm telling you, out of
beginning,
that,
yes.
Yeah, you know, like last year, this year we are in now. We allocated 1.4 billion.
1.4 billion
for political parties.
So
last year was 800.
Give us a ballpark figure then of the operational cost.
About 800 million. I'm telling you, I mean, last year, the total budget. But now for the political parties, but then it will be interesting to look at the audit. You know, the audit, in general, audits this parties every year. It will be interesting to look at when you look at the audit reports, money was mostly is payment of offices, salaries, and the normal operational. Very minimal for capacity building. So I think what we are saying is we take up the challenge and allow more resources to go to capacity building, targeting youth programs, women programs, and the general programs which build the capacity of the young people to take over.
So in agreement that something has to be done with that particular figure.
I'm in agreement.
Because when we're talking about 1.4 billion shillings,
I'm in agreement.
We do not know how much is really going. Even you, Lotte, you have no sorting idea how much really goes to UDA. Yet you take, how much does UDA, from the exchequer, from the 0.03 get as far as the largest share, you as now the leading party?
I'm not privy to that information, but I know UDA take the lion's share. And if you allow me to say something about this funding in terms of how it's going to develop the youth, for me, I think Kenya is a country that is well capacitated in terms of the human resources, including our youth. We've got people with PhDs, we've got doctors actually out in the streets with nothing. So we do not need to have this money going to capacity building. Basically what we need to do, if the parties have got the goodwill, what the parties need to do is to identify a youth that needs to run in an elective position and give them the money to run in this. Because in this country, unfortunately, you have to have money to run in a political seat for an elective position. That is what the youths are lacking. They're lacking money to run. They have the ideas, they do not even need the capacity. In fact, if you put a youthful leader and probably a leader that is not youthful into a forum, you might realize that the youthful people have got more capacity in terms of their thinking. Basically, they're lacking funding. So for me, I will say, if parties are actually willing, and that is the willingness of the parties, to instead of using this money to say, let's take the youth to a hall and do what capacity building is, let us give them the money for them to go and run into in a political seat. That way, I will say parties are waking up and they want to empower the youth. Otherwise, these seminar things, these exposure things will not help the youth. Give them the money. Give them the money. Tell them, we have identified you as our leader. Indeed. We want you to run in this political seat, be it an MCA, be it a governor, senator, women rep, or MP, and we're going to give you 10 million, 20 million to run in the seat. If we do that, if I see a party that does that, that is the party that I will know will really want to empower the youth.
At the end of the day. True. That's what we are discussing. Yeah, instead of saying, we mentorship, why can't you see there is something in this young man, something in this young woman, and support him, financially. Even when we talk about women, this has been also the greatest predicament that is really happening within political parties. They are suppressed, they are not really empowered, and they are slighted. And all that you give is just affirmative actions, and the nomination sits, right? Why can't you support?
No, that's true. By the way, if you...
And is also maybe discouraging or disheartening that we didn't have Dr. Christine Ombaka here to just give us that perspective.
And she would even have talked more about, you know, that like the UN women.
Yes.
They have actually a financing arrangement for women candidates, where they support them financially.
Within the parties?
No, not within the parties,
okay.
through their own structure.
Okay.
So you are just saying we wish the parties are that rich to also do the same. But as you are saying, majority of the parties are also not struggling. Like, I've been in a party for quite some time. Very few parties would have the financial muscle to support candidates. But I wish we were in that state. Because the other option in Dibao would be allocating also resources, not through the parties now, national resources, and say, if you can justify that you are really a serious candidate, why don't we make resources? Because we have refused to enact the law on campaign financing, which would restrict it to a level where anybody could be able to enter politics. Why don't we do the other round, where we find resources? If Dibao wants to be a politician, he can come and access those resources.
But isn't that by design? Isn't that by design?
I think it's by design. Totally agree with you.
So that we lock out people.
Totally. It's by
if you
design.
don't have the wherewithal, Lotte, then it means you can't be running for any political seat.
Exactly.
And people have been questioning, who said that you need like billions of shillings for you to run as a president?
Why should you?
Where did it really come from? Does it really matter that you have that financial muscle for you? Because I think it is an eye-popping figure to discourage many, that I cannot really, afford that particular amount of money to run for presidency. But where did it come from?
I want to give you...
Where did it come from? Where this particular figure, first of all? We have so many figures that are being, thrown about. Where did this figure really come from? Who?
But it comes, I think this figure comes from experience. And there is no politics world over that does not run on money.
We agree.
Yes.
Yeah, we agree. Yes.
Yeah.
I know the campaign machinery is very expensive. But putting it at 5 billion shillings. Are there other candidates in this world that have, they didn't have, maybe they were wherewithal, but we saw the committee coming and rallying?
Let me
Barack
tell you.
Obama, you mentioned, was it you as well?
Let me tell you what is happening. When we were in Naivasha, January, as a parliament, and Leto was there and I was there, we did agree that one of the priority bills would be passing, would be the campaign financing bill. Up to now, we have passed so many bills through the House, that one has not even been presented. And basically because of what you are saying, because, once you control the financing, you open the floor for many people to join.
Indeed.
And that's why people don't want the financing to be capped. Because, once you cap it, that means for you to go above it, you must provide accountability. And to me, I think really this is an area, if we really want to open this space for more people to come in, let's finalize this bill. And say that for you to go for an MCR seat, you only need 300,000 for logistics. If we go that direction, then many people will be able to come. But people don't want to do that because they want to take advantage and then say you spend 10 million and you scare other people away. Let's cap this thing.
Personally, I think that is not tenable. Whether this bill...
Why should it not be tenable? It's all about the other...
Whether this bill is enacted or not, it is not going to work. Let me tell you, those are the moribund bills that will never work in this country. The wars. I'm actually saying the truth, because if you're spending up to 300,000, and then at night, even the bills that came, that you're not supposed to politic until a particular period of time.
Yeah.
And at that time, people camouflage and they become chameleons and they change color. So it's like, we are going for a barrio. And it's not a barrio, it's actually a political rally. So people will always find a way out, because if you spend up to your 300,000 that has been capped probably by parliament, at night, your agents will be spending money. That will not be directly onto you. It will be through your agents, but still expenditure will be there. Basically, this is a competition. And in a competition, you have to use every means available to you to ensure that you win. The 5 billion thing, or the 10 billion thing, or the 1 billion thing to run for presidency still is there. I actually heard Sifuna saying, it's not about money, you can vote me. Not in this country. Not anywhere in the globe. Even when Obama was running. I was in the US then. I sat in a small cocoon of people during and we were contributing money for Obama's campaign. $10, $5 as students. I was a student then. It basically tells you, even in any country in the world, you have to have money to be able to finance your campaign. And a token-sending campaign like this of Kenya, where you have to token people. You have to give out something to people. People in this country, as much as how good you can be, if you do not give them money, I'm telling you, they will vote for a pig that gives them money. So because of the lessons of that.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to become a leader? Do you want a pig to become a leader, yet you have got the money also to spend? I'll tell you, whether they do this bill or not, that bill is going to be moribund. People will always find a way out. People are going to spend on campaigns.
Interesting, interesting. So it will never fly. Okay, let's see the reactions that are coming on the social media, the voices of the youth as well. And we have Alan Nyeri, Alan from Nyeri. Vijana ndio wengi Kenya, but bado hatuna nafasi kwa leadership discussions. That should change. This is the sentiment of Alan there. And also we do have Rose from Machakos. Leaders should first focus on education, business opportunities and innovation for youth before discussing 2027 seats. And we do have Peter from Thika. Kenyan youth are tired of political promises. We want policies that support jobs and entrepreneurship. And we do have as well Linda from Kakamega. Right? Until youth voices are included in these talks, it will remain just another political deal. That's Linda. All right, let's get some voice notes as well and videos just to have the look and feel on listening.
At Morning Cafe with friend Demuli and Ann Odida. As of today's question on the youth's support on the general election as of next year between the youth